You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging out with you guys. Hope you're having a great Monday morning. Hey, wanted to talk to you guys for just a quick podcast here, a couple short minutes about a topic that I think could be really timely, really relevant, and frankly, something that I've been looking at and observing the last couple of weeks and even months out there in the industry. I wanted to just kind of share my thoughts and opinion about playing the compare game, maybe looking left, looking right, versus maybe looking inwardly or year over yourself, your own personal development, business development, your life as a macro. And, this actually stemmed from a childhood game that a lot of you guys have played called Kick the Can. And I got just a fun analogy here that I want to help you guys out with and just maybe provide some clarity, right? We're all going 100 miles an hour. And, a lot of these podcasts, they're not going to necessarily be groundbreaking things, right? They're always just trying to dial it always in by 1% or 1 degree. And that's what I hope to do, is just give you guys maybe one more piece of the puzzle, something that is working for me that I think could help work for you guys with just kind of having less confusion and more clarity. And if we can do that every single day, I don't think you ever totally get it always figured out. And anybody in life who says they have it all figured out, I doubt they do. And in fact, the more successful people I talk to, they say, hey man, I'm still learning. And you could talk to a guy worth 10 million bucks and he's like, dude, I'm learning every day. But here's what I want to do. I want to talk to you guys for just a couple quick minutes because I've noticed some confusion in the marketplace. I've noticed some confusing thoughts out there. And I want to take it back to a game that a lot of you have all played called Kick the Can and what a childhood game taught me about success. So as my friend Paul Jameson says, how's that for a hook? How's that for you got to leave them with a little cliffhanger? Honestly, it's going to be a fun topic and a fun idea here that I want to share with you guys here for just a few minutes that I think will really help you guys out. So if you guys want to hang tight with us, we got some Monday motivation for you guys, and we'll come right on back here right after we hear from today's show sponsors from Marty, Mr. Producer, down in the ATL, who's without fail bringing you guys the show Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you guys are a new listener here, hey, welcome to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Let's jump right on into it.
Ballard Innovative Products is a full line of gear for the lawn and landscape professional. From mower gear, safety gear, trailer racks, equipment securement, equipment servicing tools, aerators, mower blades, X-blades, aluminum baggers, and much more to make you efficient, effective, safe, and profitable in the field. Check out Ballard-Inc.com to help dominate and elevate your business. Ballard Innovative Products. With over 20 years of selling accessories and 30 years in the business, we're sure that we've got something you can't live without. We appreciate the support and look forward to serving you this season. Stay safe and keep grinding, friends. And don't forget to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at Ballard-Inc.com.
Lawns, lessons, and live. This is the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Now, your host, Brian Fullerton.
All right, good deal, guys. Well, I'm going to come right on back, and we're not going to waste any time. We're just going to jump right back in. By the way, thanks for the reviews. Thank you for the support of the affiliate sponsors. Thank you for just jumping on the show if you guys are new here. Thanks for letting me pour into you guys for the next 20, 30 minutes while I got you. And I say that with a range because you never know how long these things are going to go, right? It's kind of like when you're listening to your pastor, if you guys go to church, and you never know if the sermon's going to be 15 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes. And at our church, we've made it a new rule. We do not make lunch plans with anybody until about after 2, 3 o'clock, because you never know if church is going to get out at noon, 1, or 2, if you know what I'm saying. But I love it, so we don't just punch the clock. We love to go there and enjoy the message. But here's what I want to do with you guys today is share a little bit more about a message that I had that I think could be really timely and really helpful. And we're just going to, like I said, jump right into it, not really waste any time on this topic. And here's something that I've noticed in the marketplace. A lot of folks out there, you're running your business and you're having a great time. You're getting new lawn customers, especially this time of the year. The phone's ringing like crazy. Everybody wants work done. There's more work to go around than good people. So we're pushing customers out 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks. Some of you guys are booked out till July and August. It's absolutely exciting. It's absolutely crazy. Keep raising those prices, because if you're booked out and you have a customer come at you, don't tell them no. Tell them a ridiculous price, and then try to wiggle that into your schedule, if you will, and not to put the other customers a little bit further down the road. But the point is, if everybody's saying yes, keep raising those prices up a little bit more. Amen. Well, one thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that although business is growing and although everything is, kind of hitting on all 8 cylinders, if you will, this time of year, you notice the last 2-3 weeks and the next like 6 to 8 weeks, nobody's fussy, nobody's complaining, nobody's criticizing, nobody's creating drama. Everybody's just working, right? It's an exciting time of year. I just notice how, the macro perspective I get from other people and just looking at the landscape of humans, when you're busy, and you're focused, not a lot of people are, whining or complaining. Well, that is true, but also the fact of the matter is you guys consume a lot of content. I do as well. You listen to Andy Frisella, you listen to other podcasts, you listen to other people all day long, just like this. You're listening to this podcast, hopefully to get inspired, get entertained, maybe a nugget here or there, some motivation. But again, to dial it in that 1% or 1 degree. Well, here's one thing that I had to be really, really good at the last 5 or 10 years was being a consumer of information, but then digesting it, right? I had to distill it and I had to discern what I was listening to, right? Just because you're listening to content, you don't necessarily know if that applies to me, if it's something I want to implement, if it's something that I should be doing right now, right? Like we might do a podcast episode with Corey Ballard and he's giving some suggestions or advice, but Corey's on a level 10 business, right? On a 1 to 10 scale or a 1 to 20 scale. You might listen to another guy on the podcast and he comes in with some advice. And he's like, this is what's working for me. And this is what you guys need to do. And he might be a level 3. And it's not the level. We're not judging anybody, but you guys know what I'm saying. He might be his 3rd year in business, or he might be at $100,000 of revenue or $1 million of revenue. So the point is, we get all this advice. We get all these, this is what I should be doing type of content. At least that's what I feel like. Every time, every day, I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to motivational YouTube videos. I'm listening to chemtrail conspiracy, talks, just like you guys love forwarding to me, and half of you guys believe like I do, which is always exciting. But you guys know what I'm saying? We listen to a lot of content. I mean, one side of me says, hey, congratulations for listening to so much content. The other side of me says, damn, that's a lot of noise. So it's one of those things where I still don't have it figured out in life, like how much you could consume to where you're actually still learning and dialing it in. Because here's the deal. Learning good content is great, but implementing is good content is even better. I heard somebody say once that he's a motivational speaker, and somebody came up to him from the audience and they said, hey, you've motivated me to read 100 books this year. And the motivational speaker said, why would you do that? And the person in the audience, the student to be, said, well, because I thought that would be really motivating to say. And I thought that'd be really a great idea. And the motivational speaker said, I'd rather you, instead of you listen to or read 100 books this year, I'd rather you listen to the same 4 or 5 books 5 times over and actually take what those books say and engage them and execute on them into your business, into your life. Right. So it's one of those things where every single day we give you more advice and, more input, and you got 5-10 different podcasts you listen to through the week. One podcast, it's about lawn care. The next podcast is about being a better citizen. Right. The next podcast, you're listening to Andy Frisella about business and CEO and mental toughness. Right. And then, pick your people. You got Jordan Peterson on line 1. You got Almonds on line 2, Paul on line 3. Just great people, all good advice. But again, there's a lot of content. Man, there's a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of stuff. What do I do? What do I do today? What am I going to do to get the best bang for the buck? Well, one other part of me also observes the fact that a lot of people put out content, and I'm trying to think about the best way to say this without trying to be rude, but just because somebody has a microphone, like it doesn't mean you should necessarily listen to them, right? Or if somebody has a microphone, that person might not understand the macro of the advice that they're giving out. They might not understand that somebody listening in might do what you say. And some of you guys that maybe want to have an audience or have a bigger Instagram or have a bigger YouTube or a bigger business and have 10 employees, like, listen, those people are going to look to you for leadership. Those people might just do what you say. Those people might spend money with you. Those people might come to your event. You better have some dang responsibility and some perspective and vision about what you're actually putting out there in the marketplace. And so let's keep going on this thought. Over the last, 12, 18, 24, 36, 48 months, and probably in the last 5, 6, 7 years, there's been a crap ton of content that gets put out on YouTube and on Instagram and on podcasts. And for the most part, it's all well-meaning, well-intended advice. My content included. I'm part of this whole group that I'm going to evaluate and observe. So listen to me here. Stick with me. I'm going to make a good point here. Back when I was 10, 12 years old, we would play a game called Kick the Can. And when I was a little dude, I had two friends, Josh and Travis. They were like 9. I was like 12, 13. My younger brother was, 9, 10, 11, something like that. And we would play a childhood game. We lived in a trailer park, and mobile home park, and there'd be 635 trailers in there. When it's 2, 3, or 4 o'clock, we all get home from school, finish our homework up. Not really. And we go outside, and man, you want to play a game of basketball in the street, baseball in the commons area, roller hockey. Our phase was like fresh asphalt, so we like had like the Red Wings are huge back in 97, 98, whatever it was. And, it was just good times. That year, a couple years, it was all things hockey, right? And maybe you guys grew up in like larger subdivisions or home complexes, whatever you call them. And you get, 10 kids out there, 20 kids out there, 30 kids out there. Man, I remember there'd be times when we played like football and like 40 kids would show up, and we're just like, okay, well, 2 games will go at the same time, and then we'll have like a playoff, and the 2 winning teams will play. And then, by then it'd be like 9 o'clock at night. And as soon as that street light though came on, man, every kid scattered like cockroaches to a light. We had to be home or we were getting the belt. You know what I mean? Well, there was an old childhood game that we all played called Kick the Can once in a while. And we played it usually at night, sometimes with flashlights. We had one of our friend's house. He was a corner house to the subdivision of the mobile home park that I lived in on Maple Road. And I could show you a photo of this exact house, and it's still there. It's so many fond memories, right? Well, we played a game called Kick the Can, and this is what a childhood game taught me about success. And it's just an interesting analogy that I kind of came up with over the last month. And again, I'm not trying to be groundbreaking with any of these talks that I bring out to you guys or share with you guys. I'm telling you this stuff because it's helping me. And hopefully you guys can get that one degree, that one little nuance or nugget that might be able to apply to your life. And again, this goes full circle to all the advice that gets shared all day, because honestly, it can get a little confusing about what you're supposed to do out there in life. So let's go back to the game Kick the Can. A lot of you guys have played it, and if you haven't, because I've actually asked a few people, you ever play Kick the Can? They're like, no, I've never heard of it. And I'm like, how is your life this sheltered? How have you not had the privilege or the opportunity to play such a fun game when you're 9, 10, 12 years old, right? And so let me just kind of slow it down for you guys. Some of you that maybe haven't played the game, and maybe some of you haven't played it for 20 years, right? Amen. Well, here's the deal. We would play with 10, 12, 15 kids, 20 kids, right? And we'd always play at dusk or nighttime and play on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. We'd all bring our flashlights, and it would be a good time. Well, our friends that had the corner house, across the street was the dirt road right there, right? The main entrance. Then they had the asphalt entrance that came into the subdivision. So those were kind of like the hard boundaries. You couldn't go over the road. You couldn't go over the dirt road and hide in like the brush across the street. And then at the end on the right side was another trailer that backed up to the trailer where our friends lived. Can't go past the front of that house. And then, of course, on the back side of the trailer was another trailer, and you couldn't go behind that trailer. So you had this big rectangle, this big square. Well, the idea of the game called Kick the Can is you put a can, on a block or in the driveway or, on the back of a basketball hoop, and one person is it. And with this person that is it, they have to tag all those other people, and all those other people go into, this jail. And so we had a shed. Every trailer park, home had a shed. It was kind of like just, your garage, right? So everybody had a shed. Well, they had this really cute shed, had big double barn doors, so a lot of people could fit in it. And, we were just 12-year-old kids, man. We're just, creating a muck. Well, here's the deal. The person that was it, and everybody that was playing, they had to have their hand on the basketball hoop, right? That's where we started off. And the person was it, had to tag all these people and, count down from 10. Again, it's at night. We got flashlights. Everybody run around crazy and also be quiet. Some people would hide between the cars in the driveway. Some people would lay underneath the underneath the cars 2 feet away from the basketball hoop, because instead of kicking the can, we would call it like tag the hoop, right? So here's the deal. The person that was it had to run around and tag all these people, and they'd all go to jail. And all the people that were not it, what was their mission? Their goal was to tag up the hoop or kick the can. So really simply, somebody would count down 10, 9, And you just see people like scurry like crazy. Everybody's flashlights would be on. It'd be like 10 little kids out there, dude, all running around, boys, girls, just hanging out. Just good old fashioned like kids, man. It's just crazy like the world today. Now everybody's on tablets and smartphones, right? Well, we would be like 7, 6, and people would be running under cars, running inside the cars. They'd be running on the deck. They'd be any little like nuanced spot where a 50, 60 little pound 9-year-old kid could fit. That little dude was there. Like some people would hide in the trash buckets, and they'd hide in like the trees and the brush, in their yard, and all these fun things. And then the person who was it would count 4, 3, 2, and they would be it, and it's game on. And so as you guys can imagine, this person that's it has to go tag all these people. So the pandemonium ensues where the person who's it like runs into like a shrub line, right? And he like runs in there and he's got a flashlight and he starts shining it in there, and all of a sudden, poof, 3 kids like pop out like little raccoons, right? And they all like scurry like all crazy. And some people run right, some people run left. And unfortunately, there's like that poor soul that got tagged, right? Well, that poor soul he gets tagged and he's got to go sit in the shed. He's in jail. So he's in jail. And by the way, one other little detail, if you want to get out of jail, somebody who is trying to kick the can or tag up on the hoop, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get their buddy out of jail, right? So they're going to go and get their friend, Josh. Josh just got tagged, but we have to go get Josh out of jail, right? Because we don't want to kick the can. We don't want to tag up the hoop. We want to go get our friend out of jail. So, after 5 minutes or 10 minutes of this, everybody's running around crazy. The person who's it's like winded and like, dying at 12 years old. But, life hack, they get like infinite cardio boost at that age. When you turn like 25, 30, you're like, man, I can't run a mile anymore without almost dying. So at 12 years old, I'm just mesmerized by the infinite cardio, that kids have. It's just incredible. Well, again, after 5 or 10 minutes of this and people screaming and you didn't tag me, I didn't get tagged first. All those fun stuff that you do when you're 9 and 12 years old. And, some kids have integrity. Some of them don't. Well, after 10 minutes, some people tag up the hoop, but most of the time, what would happen is a lot of your friends would get tagged and they would go to jail. And then we kind of come down to like the playoff, right? It'd be like 1-on-1. There's one dude left and he can't really make it to the jail, like to the right, to the shed. And because he's got to protect the hoop or he's got to protect the can. But at the same point, like he wants to tag the can and win, but he also wants to get his friends out of jail because like that's more fun. And so here's the fun story. Eventually the kid would try to make a dive for it or, go through the 5-hole and tag up or just have like an outrun session where they just like chase each other around like cats and dogs. And then eventually he would get tagged or tag up and the game would be over and we'd pick somebody else to be it. Well, here's the analogy and here's the point I want to make is that a lot of the times the older we get, and I fell into this trap myself, it was, I got to get more lawn care customers. I got to grow my business. I'm trying to grow this lawn care company, right? And then I get myself on YouTube. I throw myself on the internet, which was totally new and exciting and fun. And we're all like learning together. And the first year we had 1,000 subs and the second year we had 10,000 subs. And I don't know, the third year we had like 45,000 subs. And I noticed the first 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, it was a lot of following what Brian is doing because it was new and let's see what this guy's doing. I don't know what this guy's about. Hey, there's somebody new from Michigan. Well, I've never seen an X marked more before. Oh, this guy's got an enclosed trailer. Man, he likes the color red. All these fun things, right? But then I kind of realized like the last 12, 18 months, a lot more people have put out more guru advice. And so a lot of people are now questioning everything, right? They're following different advice patterns and they're like, you know what? The secret to success in the green industry is to have an owner-operator business and do 200, 250 and net 60% margins and go make 100, 150. Then on line 2 or video number 2 or channel number 2, it's, hey man, you got to get a team of 5 or 6 people and you need to, make sure that you do 400 or 500 grand in revenue. And then line number 3, it's, you know what? You're not successful unless you got a 25 person company, you got an office manager, you're not really free. You don't really own a business, right? Until you can walk away from that business and have passive income. You got to create systems, man. You got to create systems. Okay. And then, line 4, it's, hey, I got a 200 person company. We do 5, 10, 20 million. And those guys say, I've never really been able to take more than a week, 2, 3 weeks off from my company, without having to really make sure that somebody is, pushing the needle forward. And so here's the deal. Line 1, they got their advice, right? That's kind of more like my content. Line 2, you got the almonds, maybe like 4, 5, 6 guys and, $500,000, $1 million business, right? Great stuff. Line 3, we can keep going. Line 4, you got the Corys and you got the, the Troy Clogs. And funny, I just saw Troy Clog at the home show yesterday. And I was talking about this analogy actually. And he's like, don't get big. Don't get big. He's like, don't do it. So here's the deal. Again, let's go back to the kick the can analogy. The name of the game is called kick the can. But what do all we do all day long when we play that game? We try to get our friends out of jail. And so the name of the game with your business is make money. Like, period, case closed. Unless you run a nonprofit business, the goal of your business should be to create profit. It should be to maximize your profit. It should be to make the most amount of money in profit that you can humanly, ethically, integratively possibly make. And maybe we'll add another couple of little e's for adjectives in there to make it sound more perfect and more impressive. Okay. The bottom line is that you start looking around and everybody's a guru, everybody's got advice and everybody's got answers out there. But what do? What do you follow? Again, that's where you have to start listening, digesting, distilling, and discerning what you're trying to do with your life and your business. So for example's sake, what does that look like practically? Well, the last 12, 18 months, Brian, you should get a dump truck. Brian, you should get a dump trailer. Brian, you should get a yard. Brian, you should get a shop. Brian, you should rent. Brian, you shouldn't rent. Brian, how many storage lockers are you going to get? We could do this literally all freaking day. There's not a day or a comment. There's probably not a 10 minutes that goes by where I don't get suggestions or advice from very well-meaning people. Like, I'm not criticizing them by any means, but you guys might get that same criticism or advice or suggestions every day too. Because a lot of you guys have an Instagram account. Hell, all of you guys have friends and family. And somebody might say, hey, why are you still parking your trailer at your house? You should get a shop. And then you get a shop and somebody says, why don't you get a yard? And then the guy with the yard says, we got rid of our yard to get a shop. And then somebody with the shop says, you know what? We don't have shops or yards. We just, bring it to our house. That's why I bought 10 acres. And so, you don't need a subdivision home. You need 10 acres. I'm like, well, 10 acres around here is about $1 billion. And that's just not going to happen. So you start looking at the lay of the land, right? What's the right answer? And the right answer is, there is no right answer. The right answer is, every answer is right. The right answer is freaking grow. The right answer is make money, be profitable. My point is, everybody's got their sauce and their sauce works for them. Everybody's got their perfect little business model or what they're trying to portray or trying to work to create their perfect business model. Now, kudos to the people that are trying to attain and reach a goal that they're always constantly pursuing, tweaking, and working towards. That's better than the person that doesn't have a goal, right? So maybe you are out there and you're like, I just don't know what to do. I just need to pass out flyers, get customers. This is typically the guy that says, I want to get 50 new customers this year. It's like, well, and you guys have heard this analogy before, but if you're new to the show, it's like, I don't know. 50 new customers could be 10 grand a year in work. 50 new customers could be 500 grand a year in work. If you wanted to grow 100 grand in revenue this year, you might need 10 customers. You might need 50 customers. You might need one hospital system that's worth $100,000 or one massive manufacturing company with lawn and snow, and they got 40 acres of grass and they're not going to cut it and they sub it out and it's worth 100 grand a year. So my point is that a lot of folks out there are busy playing kick the can, and you know what they're doing? They're getting their friends out of jail, right? They're so focused on the trucks, the shop, the yard, the subscribers, the view count, the silver play buttons, the clout, the he knows my name. Why doesn't he know your name? Why doesn't he know my name, but he knows this guy's name, right? That's kind of like the reality of societal peer pressure. Everybody wants to be known. Everybody wants to be successful. Who doesn't want that stuff? And I'm not saying that that's wrong stuff to pursue, but as a person who never chased that, never cared about that, I know it sounds like I'm the internet, guy that's always out front because I create a lot of content. But the reality is like the irony is that I don't want any of it. The irony is like, I'm not trying to pursue any of it. And I know that might sound hard to digest for somebody who might be newer to the show that hasn't spent 2, 4, 5 years with me and, watched 50 to 100 of our videos and consumed 50 to 100 of our podcasts. But I'm totally happy with being the quiet guy in the corner, not getting my name mentioned, I like doing nice things and still not getting mentioned. I like doing nice things, blessing people, and still nobody knowing who did it, who done it or why. And so the point is, like, I see both sides, but the bottom line here is when you look at the story of kick the can, the idea is to kick the can, dude. That's the name of the game. And I know it's 10 times, 100 times more fun to go get your friends out of jail. Go buy dump trucks. Go buy skid steers. Go sound like you got 5, 10, 20, 50 guys. Go grow a $10 million company. Put out guru advice and go tell everybody that, if you're an owner-operator, you're not successful. But if you're a 25, person company and you can walk away for a week, you're a success. Or the guy that's got 200 says, dude, the guy at 25, like he thinks he's free, but he's not financially free. He's not able to automate that business as good as he goes. And then the 200 guy goes, you know why? Because I have 200 and I still can't walk away for more than a week or a month from my business. But the guy with 25 people who's a guru thinks he's got it figured out. And this isn't against anybody or directed towards anybody. Frankly, my game is kick the can. I don't get lost in what anybody does or what anybody says. Now, I take all data, all info, all feedback. Why? Because I'm trying to figure out what makes sense for me, and I will learn from anybody. I'll learn from you what to do, and I'll also learn from you what not to do, right? And so my biggest wish, my biggest prayer for you guys listening into this episode is find some quiet time, get a pen and paper out, get a notepad out, spend some time with your wife, get a big ass whiteboard out if you have to, and figure out what you guys want. Discern, digest, distill information. What makes sense? Do we want to be, good debt, bad debt? Do we like Dave Ramsey or do we like Robert Kiyosaki with our finances? Do we want debt free with our business, or do we want leverage with our business? Do we want two people and we take Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays off. We have 4-day weekends all the time, and we just like high margins, but we got to do all the work. Do we want to have 25 people and we got to do 1.5 million, $2 to $3 million to keep this thing moving, but we net 150 grand a year off this thing, but I have a little bit more time freedom. All right answers for those people. But the problem that I notice is that everybody gets a microphone. Everybody gets an Instagram. Everybody gets a video. Everybody gets a YouTube channel. And that's freaking awesome, because where would we be without this context, without this perspective, without these different perspectives to help us with our companies? Maybe you're trying to get to the 25 person. Maybe you're trying to get to the 50. Maybe you're trying to get to the 200 person company. Thank God all this different context and information and perspective is out there in the marketplace. But don't get confused with the game of life, the game of business, maybe not life, but the game of business for a business, in my humble but very accurate opinion, is make money, unless you have a nonprofit. And by the way, the irony of a nonprofit is, what do they do all day? They go around begging people for money and time. Why don't you just start a for-profit company and then take your profits and then pour them into the thing that you want a nonprofit for? Like, brilliant thought. I get hit up all day long for people with nonprofits. Somehow we're making our way onto the list that we have money. Like, oh, okay. We don't. But here's the reality. Just start a for-profit company and go solve your own freaking problem instead of begging everybody else who's like ambitious enough to figure out how to grow a bigger company. Okay, that's just my little opinion there. The whole point is that I see people right now. They're very motivated, they're very excited, but you get all freaking day bombarded with content. And I'm not saying turn off things or don't listen to people. Frankly, I'm in the opposite boat. I'm addicted to learning and self-development and thinking, probably like a lot of you guys. But my biggest heart's desire is figure out what you're trying to build to. Right? Like, if you want to be an owner operator and take winters off and take a week vacation here and there, you absolutely can. If you want to grow the $25 million, dollar company like Corey Ballard, awesome, dude. Awesome. It's going to take a different commitment and a different level of desire than what I currently have to grow a company in this industry, right? But neither of them are wrong. And honestly, nobody in between is wrong either. But a lot of the people that might dispense advice say this is wrong and this is right. This is right and this is wrong. I have a bigger perspective, seeing a little bit of everything from across the board and realizing, you know what? Everybody's kind of right. Everybody's kind of right. But you have to figure out what advice is right for you. And here's one last thing I'll say. There's two last analogies I want to make. Again, this is my pastor wrap up, right? Two last things I'll make really quick. Number one, this was really relevant to me and made very obvious to me when I was in a Facebook group. Somebody, invites you in and you get like a 30-day trial in the membership group until you like actually click the accept or join button or whatever it is on Facebook groups. I don't know. I don't do Facebook groups. I don't know. But somebody invited me in and there was a Facebook group and somebody had asked the question, hey, for all of you guys that run $500,000 in revenue, what's your net profit? And I was like, ooh, that's actually a really good question and topic. And there was like 60 some answers on there, right? 60 comments. And it was shocking to me that the person out there that asked that question with all the responses they got was, literally 60 plus answers that last I saw. It could be 100 now. But they said somebody who runs a $500,000 company, every single person that replied to that said we do 400 to 500, their net profits after all of the stuff, right, was about 40 to 50,000. Like clockwork, 20 to 30 of those comments said $40 to $50,000. Now, those people might have 8 guys working for them. They might have 3 trucks or 3 crews, a landscape crew, 2 lawn crews, or 1 lawn crew, 2 landscape crew, whatever. Okay. They got all this stuff happening, all these moving parts, right? And those people might even say to the owner operator guy, the little guy, maybe the me guy, right? Well, you're just 1 truck and 1 trailer and you're only doing 200. Yeah. But if we do 200 and net 60, 80, 100, and you do 500 but net 50, one of us is playing kick the can. One of us is getting our friends out of jail. One of us has got a lot of movement, a lot of excitement, a lot of creativity, but the other one is playing the game to win. And that might sound like not fun to some of you. That might sound like, well, you're kind of like an exact person and a very, critical, very decisive, very, intricate type of person. And I am, because I spent 10 years kind of doing the first thing. I'm like, that's what it's all about, dude, is all these different things. Even YouTube, there's all these different things and views and subs. But if you're going to run a YouTube channel or something, let's say, and the goal is to get views, well, then if that's your goal, get the views. If your goal is to make money with YouTube, well, views or subs or this or clout or likes or that. It's all nonsensical data that doesn't play to the game that we're trying to play, which is kick the can. Is this making some sense for you guys? So, and again, it's not anything against the guys that have a $500,000 company by any stretch of the imagination. But my perspective, I'm like, well, why would you do 3 to 5 times the work, have 6 guys instead of 1 or 2? Why? That's just my outside. Well, he's got a little bit more freedom. He might have 20% more freedom, right, for his company. But is it really worth the 100% extra BS that he's got to deal with all the crap? Right? It's all relative. It's all these different perspectives out there. And that's just something that I've noticed, is that a lot of these people out there are like, well, this is the size company you need to have. And this is the size. And I'm like, listen, dude, don't get confused along the way. Okay. So I had 2 analogies. That was the first one. I've already forgot the second one. I'm done hearing myself talk. So I know you guys got to be done hearing me talk. That's my perspective on this week. It's a little Monday motivation, something different I wanted to talk to you guys. And this is the wrap up here as we wind down, is don't get confused out there. Okay. Figure out what makes sense for you. I know we say it 100 different ways, over the last 18 months or whatever it's been now on the podcast, but my goal is to say it a little bit different, that maybe it just kind of sinks down one layer deeper into your conscious or subconscious mind, where it kind of just jogs something or jolts something or creates this billionth volt of a thought that can maybe change some thoughts in your guys' brain and your perspective, listening to my voice, helping you guys with trying to dial in what you're trying to accomplish in life. Again, at the end of the day, I guess here's the second part of my analogy was, if you have businesses and the goal is to make money with them, or the goal is, let's say, the financial puzzle piece of your life, right? And if somebody's like, well, I got an $800,000 company and they make 80 grand, but I got a $200,000 company and then a YouTube channel, and like, let's say they both make more than 80,000, who's winning the financial game of life? And I'm not saying my way is right and his way is wrong. Guys, I don't even play that game. I don't even care. I literally couldn't even care less. I'm not trying to say I'm better or I'm worse or I'm right and they're wrong. Frankly, I could be wrong. We'll find out in 5 or 10, 20, 30 years, right? My point is, figure out what makes sense for you. But if somebody's out there and they got 10 rental properties, they've got $100 grand a year net revenue, car wash, and they're making, whatever with all their investments, 300 grand a year. And some other guy says, well, I've got 12 employees at, this, power washing company, and he's working himself to death, but he's got, revenues of 1.5 million, but he's netting, 100 on it. but he's calling the other guy a loser that's got 10 rental properties and a $100,000 a year car wash. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, one's making money, one's kicking the can, the other one is busy getting their friends out of jail. And the only thing more dangerous than that, as I wrap this thought out, is the guy who, in this second analogy, or the guy with the 8 guys in the $500,000 company criticizing the owner-operator guy. Those people, you guys ever see these people out there? Those kind of people will exhaust you. They will spend all day convincing you that they're right and you're wrong. All day. And they'll self-prophesize. They'll self-service. They'll create this perpetual cycle, letting them know that they're successful or going to be successful-er than you. By the way, you guys have these people in your life too. Because they're probably thinking of a couple different people right now. But maybe it's your brother, maybe it's your cousin, maybe it's your brother-in-law, maybe it's an uncle. I have some family like that, where it's always looking over your shoulder and they're criticizing, they're second-guessing, they're judging, and they don't have this perspective that I do. They don't have this vision that I do. I'm building something, and I see it. And they say, well, I don't know what you're doing. I don't see it. No duh, because you're not the visionary with my company. I am. And I'm going to protect this vision. And I'm going to get you as far away as humanly possible from my dreams and my goals. That's why you don't share your dreams and goals with bozos and losers and family members that just don't get it, right? So that's my perspective. Some people are out there playing kick the can. They're winning. They're profiting. They're making money with their company. Other people, I got systems. I got people. I got revenue. Those are all good things. But if the game is the game is put net profit, the game is to put money in your pocket. Just be sure that what you're doing is actually producing today, tomorrow. Not, hey, this thing's going to pan out 5-10 years from now. Don't keep betting on futures. Like, if you're taking on customers hoping to get your foot in the door of a subdivision and it's not working, raise the price of that first customer or get out of that subdivision, because you cannot forever run at losses betting on future gains that may or may not show up. I'm not saying don't invest in yourself. I'm not saying don't sow to later reap. I'm just saying be real with yourself, right? Play the right game. Okay, so this is just a quick analogy. I had to get out there. It's been on my mind. I got no notes. I'm just talking like crazy because I just get so motivated. And here's the deal. I have nothing but love and respect and appreciation for everybody in the community, in the industry. Just, you guys do yourself a favor. And this is coming from somebody who puts out a crap ton of content. Discern, digest, and decipher, right? Figure out and just discern what's coming at you. Does that make sense for me? Does that make sense for me today? Hey, that's an interesting thought. That guy's at level 8. He's 20 years in, 2 years, 10 years in. Do I need to apply what he's saying right now? Or is that something I need to log in the back of my brain to maybe pull off the shelf to use and implement into my business later? Right? Those are all, Corey was talking about on an episode just 3-4 weeks ago, talking about hiring office admin for 40, 60, 80 grand. I'm not there yet, but you know what? It's interesting for me to know that if somebody comes and says, hey, we got the right person for 50 or a bozo for 35, I might make the rookie mistake of hiring somebody for 35 when the right person's at 50. Go back and listen to that episode and that analogy. But does that make some sense? Maybe I'm not hiring that $30,000 or $50,000 a year person yet. So I'm going to put that on the shelf. I'm going to put that in the log. I'm going to put that in the warehouse, the storehouse of things that I can pull from later. But I need to make sure that I'm running my business correctly right now. And what is the correct way to run your business? The correct way to run your business right now is to kick the can. Don't spend all day getting busy with nonsensical things like getting your friends out of jail.
I certainly remember playing Kick the Can back in the 70s, but the version I remember had you kicking the can at a line of kids that stood about 10 feet away from you, and they all had to use their hands to cover their bread basket. Yeah, bread basket. Fun times. All the nurses at the ER, they always gave me suckers after the stitches. Hey, it's Marty. 2 quick reminders. Together in the Trades, June the 12th, coming up soon in Waco, Texas. Still room for you and your spouse or your spouse-to-be. And today's sponsor, make sure to support Ballard products. I noticed that those Pro Scrapers are finally in. If you guys are looking for a better way to scrape the packed grass from underneath your mower, this is it. And don't forget to use the promo code BRYANS10. Ballard Innovative Products is a full line of gear for the lawn and landscape professional. From mower gear, safety gear, trailer racks, equipment securement, equipment servicing tools, aerators, mower blades, X-blades, aluminum baggers, and much more to make you efficient, effective, safe, and profitable in the field. Check out Ballard-Inc.com to help dominate and elevate your business. Ballard Innovative Products. With over 20 years of selling accessories and 30 years in the business, we're sure that we've got something you can't live without. We appreciate the support and look forward to serving you this season. Stay safe and keep grinding, friends. And don't forget to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at Ballard-Inc.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.